Hi everyone. So for my presentation, I've put together a report and presentation on cyber warfare. We're going to go over some of the ethical topics and why it's so important in social informatics, why is cyber warfare a big deal, and what exactly is cyber warfare. So, cyber warfare are politically motivated attacks on a nation or state or country. Attacks are made to disrupt activities of organizations and nation states using computer or network based conflicts. These attacks are not just carried out from nation to nation. It can also be from terrorist groups or hackers who want to push their own political agenda. So, how are cyber attacks carried out? What type of weapons do attackers use? They use weapons such as viruses, worms, and malware. Those infect computers and network systems to try and keep them from functioning properly. They can completely shut them down and cause a complete failure. Denial of service, where someone hacks into a system and locks users out and will not let users back into a system. They can also use hacking, where they hack into systems and steal company or organizational data. They also use ransomware, which is where they hold a system or data hostage until a ransom is paid. So, why are cyber warfare and attacks such a big concern? The biggest thing is because cyber war is the new era of war. It's not going away, it's here to stay. This is the new era that we're entering into. We're no longer going to be fighting over as much on the battlefield. We're going to be using keyboards. So this is a big deal. We need to know how to deal with this. It has the potential to take out systems for power grids, hospitals, water supplies, banks, transportation systems, and etc. It has the potential to non-directly cause fatalities. Say a hacker comes in and takes out a power grid. Hospitals out of power. Their backup generators only last so long, so eventually patients in critical need or are on life support are going to start dying. It can also cost nations and states millions or billions in physical property damage or loss of business revenue. Depending on the state of that particular country, that could completely devastate their economy, depending on where they were pre-attack. So, what are some of the big ethical dilemmas that we face with thinking about or going forward with cyber wars? It's not just should I or shouldn't we launch an attack on this person. It definitely goes deeper than that. One is it ethically just for a country to respond to a cyber attack with physical warfare? So if, say, some other random country launches a cyber attack on the U.S., they take out a power grid, take out water systems, take down airplanes, whatever, is it ever justified for the U.S. to retaliate with any type of physical warfare, whether it just be sending troops over or bombs over or nuclear weapons? Is that ever going to be I mean, every scenario is going to be different, probably depending on what type of attack they started with and how devastating the attack was. Next, is there a scenario where using cyber weapons offensively is justified? Back A few years ago, 2011, 2012, it was speculated that the US and Israel joined forces and launched a cyber attack on Iran. And they launched an attack on one of their facilities and took out all of their nuclear activators. So they basically took out whatever they used to create and make nuclear weapons. Um, so that technically was an unprovoked attack. However, the US and Israel, though they denied it, doing this attack, had they been the ones carry it out, they felt justified because Iran did not need to have, in their minds, nuclear weapons. So, is there ever cases where being on the offensive is justified? Is this method of war better than physical war since warriors will now fight over the internet instead of with bullets or swords? Um, we can go ahead and get into a yes or no answer. It's still war. The point of war is to cause chaos, to cause devastation. So technically, no. And even though the war may start out over a keyboard, it can still cause millions and billions of dollars in damage, as we've said before, and it can also lead to physical war anyway. Once countries get tired of just fighting over a keyboard, they may want to push for even so much as nuclear action. So, how does a country prepare and respond to an attack? A lot of countries, especially the US and England, will participate in war games where they simulate different scenarios, and they practice different responses to all these different scenarios. Countries, of course, need to continuously evolve their system security to try and prevent attacks. They also need to prepare for chaotic and unrational citizens. Whenever an attack comes, whether it be physical or cyber, the country's number one priority should be protecting their citizens. With physical attacks, it was protecting them from the enemy. Now, with cyber attacks, since they could do stuff like take out the power grid, and because people are so reliant on technology, people are going to panic. And now the country's number one priority is going to be basically protecting citizens from themselves, and then dealing with whatever country launched the attack later. And they also need to be ready to defend any actions they take in response to an unprovoked attack to the rest of the world. So, country launches an attack on us, and we say, okay, we're going to physical war with them now. They need to be prepared to justify that with the UN, because the United Nations is not particularly some that we want on our bad side. So, what else should we keep in mind about cyber warfare? As we talked about before, cyber wars are the new era of warfare across the globe. This is where we're headed. There's no stopping it. This is because technology has become so essential to people's lives and to nations' economies that it's now used as a weapon against them. Perspective will be an essential element in political debates about the ethics of using and responding to cyber attacks. So it will always be important to view things from all sides. Ethical perspective could be the cause or the prevention of a devastating nuclear war. So that's all I've got on cyber warfare today. Thanks so much for listening and joining me.